Grover Norquist is joining me. He is the president of Americans for Tax Reform, ATR.org. And Grover, it's always nice to have you on. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to hit that button. Grover, it's always nice to have you on.
And it's good to be with you.
So we're expecting one more round of economic data out this week before the election. We'll see what surprises that may hold in store for us. We're always, of course, watching inflation rates and jobs numbers, but it seems like the only jobs the Harris-Biden administration have been able to create have been within the federal government itself, namely with IRS agents.
This government, Biden, Harris, has really increased the number of government employees tremendously, as you were pointing out. When you look at, oh my goodness, jobs have gone up. Yes, what's gone up is more people who will be eating your taxes. More government employees. Now, the IRS, when you hire, that's a twofer. You not only get somebody who's going to be spending your money, you get a guy who's going to be taking more of your money to give to the other people who spend it willy-nilly. And if you thought you were going to pick a fight with these guys, remember the president decided he liked the IRS so much. Kamala Harris said she liked the IRS so much. She was the key vote, the swing vote that passed the bill that put $80 billion in the hands of the IRS to do with as they wish. They said it was going to be to answer the phones and so on. The phones have not been being answered. There's actually TICTA, which investigates the IRS, called the 76 different phone numbers. So the helplines are 76 different numbers.
Well, that's convenient.
That you can call to ask the IRS for help. Only two of them answered the phone. Only two of the 76. That's not 76 people. That's 76 phone lines with maybe 10, 15, 20, 100 people at each one. Nobody picked up the phone except two.
I have a friend who is being audited or having her taxes reviewed, and it's been now 9 months of her wondering whether or not she owes more money, whether she filed incorrectly, if she's got to file an amendment, and nobody will answer her questions, and she's not getting any answers back.
Oh, I had a mix-up on their part. I called day after day, and you'd sit on the phone for an hour or more, and then they'd come on, and the airlines come on they make you wait. They come on every 5 minutes and tell you, "We'll be right here. We'll be right here." Maybe a while, but they keep telling you, "We're here. We haven't lost you." The only time they came back to talk to me was to tell me, "Why don't you call back tomorrow sometime?"
Sit on the phone tomorrow. Again for another 5 hours.
And I did. Yeah. Now, one, because of the union, they have an IRS union, 97, 98% of the money they raise, oddly enough, goes to Democrats. That's how you get $80 billion in payoff,
right?
Is first write checks to the President of the United States or the Democrats running Congress. And then they said, here's $80 billion. Thank you. Now, and then the unions got a contract which said you don't have to come to work. And less than half, they won't tell us. They will not tell you, me, or Congress under subpoena, will not tell them how many people actually come to work. But they were willing to say it was less than half of them. Now, they're at home not answering your phone. So if you were worried about the people not answering your phone calls and thought, well, that's got to be uncomfortable for them. They have to drive into work every day and sit in those, swivel chairs and stuff. But the good news is they're actually at home by the pool not answering your phone. So they're doing okay.
I mean, Grover, come on. There's a very interesting Menendez Brothers series on Netflix right now that has to be watched.
This is an odd one. This is the IRS. Oh, I'm sorry. Now they want guns. The IRS has now announced they're hiring. We checked out all 50 states. They're hiring. They want at least 360 people willing to carry a gun and willing to use deadly force. They want to make sure you're willing to shoot somebody, not just that you're willing to carry the gun. And they're out looking for people willing to carry a gun and work for the IRS. Why anybody at the IRS needs a gun is beyond imagination.
I can actually think of some reasons, and I realize that there are nefarious reasons as well as to what the IRS agents might do with guns. But there are a lot of crazy people who hate the IRS, and if you go knock on their door, you may find yourself on a receiving end of a gun barrel. So I can understand some agents needing some protection. I'm willing to meet you halfway on that, but you're right.
Okay.
For all of the agents to be armed is potentially problematic.
You can call the local police and they can go with you if you want someone trained. Those IRS agents who are quote unquote trained for guns to be done when they were investigated by TICTA, which is the Inspector General for the IRS, in the last year, the IRS fired their guns by mistake more often than on purpose. One IRS agent killed another one because he was watching his phone while carrying the gun and shot the other IRS agent, killed him.
Was he even carrying his gun?
This is not funny. This is sad. This is and the people who don't do the training that they catch not doing the training are not told you can't do this anymore. Okay, so they don't even police the mistakes. These people should not be allowed. They don't need guns anyway. Call a local policeman to go with you if you really think there's a problem. That guy has more experience in this than you ever could if you truly believe that that's what it was. But remember, these are the people, the IRS, who sent an agent out to Mr. Tiabi's, the reporter, who was exposing government fraud under Obama, was testifying to it. And they sent the IRS to his house to drop off a little letter telling him that they thought he owed him money. Now, mind you, they'd never sent him a letter. They'd never called him, but they showed up at the house. Do you want those people with guns? For political purposes to a journalist? You think you and I could ever protect ourselves the way a journalist could by, talking about, now Tiabi's making them pay for it by telling the story a million times. But that level of, I don't know, it doesn't strike me as very democratic.
No. You can read more about this at atr.org and listen to Grover's podcast as well. Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform, here on the Scott Sand Show. Yesterday at Madison Square Garden, Donald Trump reiterated some of his proposed tax policies, talking about everything from no tax on tips on down. Your thoughts on that and what it does to affect the country's revenue, and does it improve the economy at all if all of a sudden the Trump administration is able to eliminate all these random taxes?
Well, the first one's not random. The first is the tax cut that he passed in 2017, which takes the rates down for everybody, the lower business taxes, all of the expensing, so business can invest more. That supercharged the economy and really made things grow. In 2019 alone, median income went up 6.8% in that 1 year. That's a higher increase in 1 year than all 8 years of Obama. That's how good the economy was going before COVID. And then the massive spending that Biden did on top of that. But that needs to be continued. He's committed to doing that. The Republicans in the House and Senate are. If Trump is elected with a Republican House and Senate, those tax cuts will be made permanent.
I think maybe he'll get some bipartisan support, although there may be a lot of Democrats who just want to vote no to anything Donald Trump proposes. But that's certainly on the table. Go ahead.
I live in Washington, D.C. There'll not be a single Democrat vote for this. There wasn't the last time. There won't be this time. The Ds are that committed to the high tax policies.
Donald Trump also proposing no tax on Social Security benefits, no tax on overtime. These are all things that should appeal to a wide array of voters.
I think the idea that the solution to most of the problems in the world is lower taxes and less spending is true. And I really like that he's pointing that out, because what the left wants to do is we'll hire a bunch of people to go do something, as opposed to how about we will not tax you, we'll let you do things in America as Americans.
Yeah, what was it? I think Elon Musk yesterday said that he could cut $2 trillion from the budget, which would be a good start. There may be even more than that could be cut.
Look, there's a lot that can be reduced. Obviously, politics is a tough game. People, the log rolling, I'll vote for your stupid program if you vote for my stupid program. And that's how some people get elected. But you can also get elected by, I'll vote for your good tax cut if you vote for my good tax cut, and we grow the economy. Spending just takes money from Fred and gives it to Mary. There's no growth there. If you're married, this sounds like a good deal, but it doesn't help the entire economy to grow, to move money from one. We're going to take money from a state without very tough senators and give it to the state with really nasty senators who have sharp elbows and want the money. That's not where you want capital to flow.
Grover Norquist here on the Scott Sands Show. Grover, you and I may disagree a little bit on this. Donald Trump also proposing a series of tariffs, which I think wind up being bad in the long run for consumers, although they could be a great point of leverage when you're trying to negotiate with someone else.
Oh, they're like nuclear weapons. They're fine to threaten with, but if you actually use them, they're high costs. So I'm not a fan of tariffs. I do understand the frustration that Trump sees when other countries, China, steal our intellectual property, don't play by the rules that are set up. And there is something to be said for being able to stare down some of these guys and say, guys, we really need you to deal with us fairly and honestly. And we want to deal with you that way as well. There is one way to do both of those, both punish China for its misbehavior and also keep tariffs down for American consumers. Because, look, a tariff is a tax on American consumers. Nobody else pays the tax. Only American consumers do. It's not paid by, when French cologne makers send something over and there's a tax on it, it's paid by the guy who uses French cologne here, not paid by somebody in France. But there is an effort. There's a Pacific Free Trade Agreement that England just left. When England pulled out of, or Britain pulled out of the European Union, we could join that group. Then South Korea would join, a whole bunch of other people would join. As structure, if we joined right now, 40% of the world's economy would be inside that free trade zone where China was outside it. You want leverage with China? Build the biggest free trade zone you can. The big advantage of America is it's the largest free trade zone right now. It's the whole country. But we can add from being 25% of GDP to 40% by bringing Japan in and Britain and Australia. And some of the other serious countries. I think that is a good way to do exactly what Trump's saying. Let's deal with China and deal from strength.
Grover
you
Norquist.
can do it from strength with low taxes.
We're talking to Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform, ATR.org, here on the Scott Sands Show. Grover, the economy, inflation, taxes, high price of goods still remains the top issue that voters are looking at going into next Tuesday. Gaze into your crystal ball for us as you look at what Americans believe, who can best handle the economy. Where do you think we wind up Tuesday night?
Well, the easiest one is that the Republicans will capture the Senate. They're down one vote. West Virginia will elect a Republican, the governor there. Montana will elect a Republican governor. That takes us to 51. It is likely Ohio looks strong. And then there are 5 states that could go either way, and it's 50-50. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada. These are all states that could go either way. So I think the Republicans will win 51, 52 Senate seats, plus maybe some more, or they may be denied the idea of more. But that's control of the Senate. On the House side, right now, it looks as though the Republicans will hold on to it. But it's, they're only ahead by 3 or 4 right now. They thought they'd pick up 10. Either way, it's going to be very, very narrow there. Boy, and that presidency I'd rather be Trump's campaign manager than Harris's right now. Things look good. Who's voting and who's voting early, and Republicans who had gone, we don't want to do mail-in votes, that's tacky, have now gone, well, it may be tacky, but we're going to play by the rules. Whenever they change the rules in baseball, you might not like it, but you play by those rules,
right?
Or you could lose. And the Republicans are going, we're going to play by the rules you've set up, even if down the road we think perhaps more people should vote at election day when you can see their face, and nobody watches them put the ballot in the envelope, because that's kind of a danger of too many mail-in ballots. That said, who's voting looks good. I mean, more Republicans are voting in the swing states like North Carolina, Georgia, and our friends in Nevada. So those are some interesting, cheerful trends. But, it's a few days away, and trends can move the other way.
Trends can certainly change.
It's going to be close. I guess close.
As of today, I'm looking at a possibility of a triple flip. I think Republicans flip the White House and the Senate and lose the House.
That I would not be surprised at all if that's exactly what happens.
We'll see. And we'll talk to you soon. Grover Norquist. Follow him on all the socials. Go to atr.org. Grover, great to have you on.
Thank you. Good to be with you.